Hello, David Hood here, the Dallas SEO Geek, and this video is about how long does it take to rank in Google. This is an update from a video I shot over a year ago, and things have changed. But it still does depend greatly on a lot of different factors, and I'm going to discuss those factors in a second. This funny thing from Socrates, it depends. You know, there's so many different moving parts here, and even the same two businesses that are in the same exact market, targeting the same exact market, can have wildly different expectations and opportunities with SEO. So one thing to make a note of, Google has slowed things down. This is really important, and Google was already testing the patience of people because it did take time before, so you know you're gonna have to be even more patient now. What I've seen is, you know, let's say I did one thing for a website, one really powerful thing. It might take 6 months for the full effects of that to come into play. So I might do that one thing and that thing only, and then over the next 6 months, I see the rankings slowly increase till they stabilize. Now, that's not how it always works, but that's how it works a lot of the time. And so you just have to be patient, especially if it's competitive, especially if you have a new site, and even more so if you aren't going to be very aggressive with it. So I'd say at least 6 months to get full credit for an action that I take, and that's kind of what I would expect. So how long does the project take? I would say about 6 to 12 months normally. That's the normal project, regular level of competition, regular level of aggressiveness. But it can take a lot longer if you're not aggressive or if it's super competitive, and that's something that we would discuss if you were to ask me to work on your project. The problem with this number also is that how do you define rank in Google? What about like your brand name? Well, you should rank for that pretty much immediately, so that's not really what it counts for. Super long tail search phrases, so like very specific searches, they rank a lot faster. So those can sometimes rank in 2, 3, 4 months and drive traffic, drive valuable traffic. But you know, how long does it take? This is how I would define this: to see significant and obvious improvements in your search engine rankings in Google. Okay, ranking for a couple of long tails isn't necessarily what I would consider to be ranking. And again, there's so many different keywords, there's so many different ways you can look at this. You can look at the super long tail, you can also look at the most competitive searches you're going after, and there's going to be a wide range of speeds for each one of those, for those two ends of the spectrum. So let's go ahead and look over the questions that will kind of help you understand, you know, all the different factors. And this isn't even everything. This is not an all-inclusive list, but this is quite a bit. Where are you now? If you're ranking, you know, on number 11th, you know, first on the second page, well, getting to the first page is going to be a lot easier than if you're nowhere, or page 3. You know, and this kind of tells you, what does Google think of your site now? Are you a nobody? Do they even know you exist? Do they have you indexed? Are you ranking already? You know, there's a lot of different things to consider here. And what kind of online assets do you have to leverage for SEO? There's certain things that you can have, like let's say you had a super popular social media account. That can help a little bit with SEO depending on a lot of different factors. It's not critical, and sometimes it doesn't do a whole lot from, you know, it's not going to take you from nowhere to number 1 or on the first page, but it can give you a little bit of a boost. What kind of competition do you face? This is wildly different. You can have super low competition and there's super high competition. I mean, the difference is astronomical. I mean, the super low is maybe, you know, 10,000 times less competitive than the super competitive, right? And then how aggressive do you want to be? So I offer different levels depending on your project. And you know, if you pick the more aggressive level, then you can expect to rank faster. If you pick the less aggressive level, then it's slower, right? Pretty simple stuff. Is your team willing to put a little bit of energy into the process? You or your team? This is important because there's not going to be anybody out there that you can just write the check to and then not do anything else in rank. I'm going to need some feedback. I'm going to need to look at your search phrases, look at your market, try to understand your market to a certain degree, and get some feedback. Not only that, but you're going to have to create some copy, right? That's not a service I provide. I don't provide copywriting services. So if there's a new page that needs to be made that we're trying to target a specific subsection of your market, you're going to need to create content. Now, it can be very slim. It can be just 5 sentences, but you know, your team needs to be able to put a little bit of energy into it. And this is more upfront. After the first couple months, usually there's little to nothing that you need to do, assuming you did what you're supposed to do in the first month or 2. What kind of opportunities are there for you? We kind of discussed this a little bit already. How ambitious do you want to be? Now, this is different than aggressive. Ambitious has more to do with how much of your market do you want to swallow. Like if you're going after a lot of different parts of your market, trying to really take in a wide range of keywords, it's going to take longer to rank. If you want to focus very narrowly on this kind of keyword, this set of keywords, then it's going to be faster to rank. Okay, pretty simple. How easy is it to map out the concepts of your site? Sometimes the concepts are complicated, and it's hard to kind of put the pieces together, and that just takes longer. It takes more back and forth between me and you or your team, and that's fine. That's just part of the process. And this kind of has to do with like how deep does the keyword research go? You know, does it go really deep? Are there many unique concepts? Sometimes that's true. Sometimes there's concepts, sub-concepts, sub-sub-concepts, sub-sub-sub-sub-concepts, and it just goes really deep for your market. And sometimes it's just like, look, there's only, you know, there's a bunch of different keywords, but they're all kind of saying 5 different things. That's really all there is. There's only really 5 different ways to type what we're looking for. Okay, well that's something to consider, right? That's gonna be faster to put up, but slower to rank, right? So if you have deep keyword research, then you're gonna have more long tails, and those long tails are actually gonna help the bigger ones rank. So you're gonna have more pages, and that can help you rank. But the first process takes a little longer. Okay. So in summary, I'd say about 6 to 12 months, right? If that's the quick answer. But keep in mind that there's a lot of different factors here. It could take 18 months. Sometimes, you know, something really competitive and maybe you didn't go as aggressively as we'd like, or you have a couple competitors come in and make it really hard. It can take longer than 12. But I have had rankings happen within just a few months. That does happen on a regular basis. So you never know exactly until you get in and do it, and you have to, you know, you can see here it's like why can't I give you just one answer? Why is it still kind of vague? Well, hopefully all these different questions help you understand why it's not a simple answer. And if you'd really like to know, contact me and I'll do a free analysis for your website, and I'll be able to give you a little bit more of a precise answer. But it still won't be perfect until we get in, and you know there's still other things that will be unknowns as we start the project. But at least it'll be closer. So thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye.